So don't be fooled. Math teachers don't actually know the final answers right away. They just really know how to use these 5 steps really well. If you're new here, I'm Danielle, and I'm a high school math teacher and tutor, and I have been for over 16 years. Here on this channel, I share my best strategies to learn math with ease. So if you're a math student, definitely hit subscribe down below. I'm so excited to give you my top 5 tips on problem solving in math, especially because it was a struggle for me back when I was studying. And if you're interested in getting my top 5 tips on becoming a strong math student, then I'll share the link down below for you so you can access my free training. Okay, so let's dive in and get started. Are you ready? Number one is very easy. Just start. So many of us have these roadblocks or walls that we put up when we look at word problems or more application style problems in math. And I'm guilty of this. I'm going to strongly urge you not to pull a Danielle. I typically tend to see the problem, and if it's beyond my scope, I want to shut down and go ask someone to help me right away. I want to get the answer immediately. I've taken the time to practice accepting the messiness of it all. Math is messy, and that's okay. It's part of the discovery and the curiosity that we need to nurture. So, here we need to tap into the skills that we already possess to problem solve. So, what do I mean by that? Well, if you can do puzzles, then you can do math. We know where we need to get when we have a puzzle sitting in front of us, but getting there requires problem solving skills. And believe it or not, we actually all possess the ability and have our unique ways to solving problems. If you think about solving a puzzle, if it's just dumped right there in front of you, think about when you were a kid, especially. You weren't so concerned with the end result. You kind of had confidence and knew that end result of finishing the puzzle was doable and you were going to get there. And the messiness of the puzzle in front of you didn't bother you so much. So, what did you do? You picked apart that puzzle and you approached it in the ways that made sense to you. For me, for example, when I'm doing a puzzle with my son, I will start with the corners, I'll look for the edges, and then I'll start filling in the middle. It takes time, but I have faith that the end result is manageable. And I think we all need to relate back to that analogy when we are facing word problems in math. My second tip is read the question. Again, this may seem obvious, but I read the question at least twice. Actually, I'm guilty of doing it 3 times because sometimes I'm catching things and I need to go over it once or twice again. Then from there, I highlight what feels important, any numbers or any words that are going to help me solve the problem. By doing that, I eliminate what's not needed. And the most crucial part, I think, to this step is underlining that last question. I tell my students in class all the time, it's that last question that's the dead giveaway on how to solve the word problem. And I reference that last question once I've completed the problem to make sure I'm actually answering what's been asked of me because I've many times over not actually answered what was being asked of me. The next step is step 3, and it's visualize. So, if it's a word problem that can be drawn out, or you could put a chart together, or you can even put a diagram to it, then I encourage you to do a visual brainstorm, a visual dump, if you will. It's not always possible, but there are going to be word problems that this would be helpful. Number 4 is to actually formulate your answer. So, the goal here is after your brain dump, you want to formalize everything and put the right math conventions in place so you can communicate your answer line by line to someone that you need to present it to, i.e., your teacher. Okay, guess and check at this point is not enough. That's good for the brain dump, but we need to take that and clean it up. So imagine that you're actually the teacher and you need to show your solution to someone and explain it to them because they're completely unfamiliar with what to do here. Okay. And if you need to, I like to do this actually quite a bit, is use simpler numbers if you can. So I take the word problem and bring it back to something simpler so then I know what to do, even though it looks a little more complicated. The last step is to check and correct. I always tell my students there's no point in trying any math problem if you're not going to check the answer to see if you got it right. And typically in high school, at the back of the book, there are solutions that you can reference. So I encourage you, once you complete that question, go check that answer at the back of the book. So if you're stuck and it's not right, use your lesson or similar homework questions to diagnose the problem and see where it is that you might be able to change your solution. Revise it if it's needed. And if you still can't get there, that's okay. It's happened to me many times, and you need to ask for help. Success isn't a one person show. I know students are really, really shy in math when it comes to asking for help. And honestly, it's not meant for you to do alone. Okay, now we're gonna try and apply all of those 5 steps to an example together. Let's do some problem solving here. Step one is to start, and here we are getting started. Check. Step two, let's read the question twice. Amir has 9.5 tablespoons of vanilla extract to make banana muffins, and the recipe asks for 3/4 of a tablespoon for each muffin or serving. How many muffins can Amir make? So, reading the question once is good. I'm going to read it through a second time and highlight any info that I think is important. So, Amir requiring 9.5 or has 9.5 tablespoons of vanilla extract. That's the total amount that he has for making banana muffins. But the recipe asks for 3/4 of a tablespoon for each muffin, So, I'm going to put that down as well or highlight it. How many muffins can Amir make? I am going to squiggly line this last question because basically that's the end result we are after. How many muffins can he get from his 9.5 tablespoons of vanilla? All right, visualizing. If I'm going to visualize this, now I'm not an artist here, so don't hold me to this, but I'm going to draw one bottle of vanilla saying that there is 9.5 tablespoons inside total. So this is our total. And then each muffin, here's my little muffin, requires 3/4 of a tablespoon. Okay, so we want to know how many muffins can we get out of this total? Well, if I go into step 4, okay, formulate and simplify, I'm actually going to simplify first. So for step 4, I'm going to simplify by actually taking this 9.5 and making it, I'm going to round it up to 10 as my total. So 10 tablespoons. I'm going to imagine each muffin requires only 2 tablespoons. Okay. Well, then how many muffins can I get out of 10 tablespoons? We can just easily visualize this and know that 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2 will give us a total of 10. So that means we essentially did 10 divided by 2 to get 5 muffins. If we parallel that, muffins. If we parallel that to actually formulate our response, we can say that this is going to be replaced by 9.5 tablespoons and divide that by 3/4 of a tablespoon, and we can get our number of muffins. So to do this, let's change this to an improper fraction. 2 times 9 is 18, plus 1 is going to give us 19 over 2. And I'm going to keep divided by 3 over quarters. We're going to go slowly here and show as much work as we need. Then from here, we know dividing fractions actually turns to multiplication of this fraction, but it's reciprocal. So 19 over 2 stays, and we're going to times it by 4 over 3. Then from there, because it's multiplication of fractions, if we see anything that's across from each other or top and bottom, one on top of the other, that can be reduced down. So for example, let's change colors here. I'm going to go blue. I could take this 2 and this 4 and divide them both by 2 to get 1 here. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my reduced fractions are 19 over 1 times 2 over 3. This is just easier and cleaner to work with. From here, I could do 38 over 3. Now, I would never say we have 38 over 3 muffins, right? So let's just actually come back up here and figure out what 38 divided by 3 is in terms of muffins. How many muffins do we have? Well, if this was 36 divided by 3, then that would be 12. So that's 12 whole muffins. So 3 goes into 38 12 times, and that would give me 36. But I have 2 extra. So 2/3 is left over. So I know that having 9.5 tablespoons of vanilla and needing 3 3/4 of a tablespoon for each muffin, I could only get therefore 12 full muffins. And that's it. We applied the 5 steps to a word problem in math. So there you have it. We worked through that word problem together. And are you interested in seeing me struggle through a tougher question and get messy with it? If so, check out this next video that's here for you. Comment below if you'll be using this in your next homework session. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I will see you soon in the next video.